I sat at my desk at 9 p.m. on a Friday, staring at another urgent email from my boss Kevin. The office was empty except for me, the fluorescent lights humming overhead like they always did during these late nights. This was my life now. Endless projects, impossible deadlines, weekends spent working from home. I'd been at Morrison Tech for 4 years, and somewhere along the way, I'd stopped being a person and become a resource. Kevin managed that resource with the same care he gave office supplies. Use it until it breaks, then demand more. I opened my calendar app and counted backward. 14 weeks. That's how long it had been since I'd had a proper weekend off. 78 days since I'd requested vacation time and Kevin had said, "Not right now, we need you on the Henderson project." That project had ended 6 weeks ago. Then came the Wilson account. Then the Phillips merger. Always another crisis that only I could handle. My phone buzzed with a text from my friend Kira. "Still working? It's Friday night." I didn't respond. What could I say? That I'd become so consumed by my job that I'd forgotten what Friday nights were supposed to feel like? That exhaustion had become my permanent state? That I'd asked for a break 7 times in 3 months and been denied every single time? Monday morning, I walked into the office cafeteria and saw my coworker Brandon laughing with the marketing team. "Yeah, I'm taking next week off. Going to Colorado with my family." I stopped mid-step. Brandon was taking a week off. I'd heard him ask Kevin just last week, the same week I'd asked for the 3rd time that month. Kevin had approved Brandon's vacation in less than 10 minutes. My request was still pending review. I grabbed my coffee and sat down at an empty table, my hands shaking with anger. It wasn't just Brandon. In the past 2 months, I'd watched 5 different coworkers get approved for time off. Vacations, personal days, long weekends. All approved. All while my requests sat in Kevin's inbox collecting digital dust. Amanda from accounting walked by with her packed lunch. "Hey, you okay? You look exhausted. Just tired." I took a sip of coffee that tasted like bitterness and regret. "You should take some time off. You've been working nonstop." "I've tried." Kevin keeps saying no. Amanda's face changed. "Really? He just approved my sister's request, and she works in his department too. That seems unfair." Unfair didn't begin to cover it. It was discriminatory. It was abusive. It was breaking me. I finished my coffee and made a decision. If Kevin wouldn't give me the break I deserved, I'd find another way. That afternoon, I did something I should have done months ago. I opened the employee handbook, all 247 pages of boring corporate policy I'd ignored since orientation. I searched for time off, vacation, leave, and there it was, on page 183. Eligible employees with 4 or more years of tenure may apply for a paid sabbatical of up to 12 weeks for personal development, education, or mental health purposes. Applications must be submitted through Human Resources and approved by senior management. Paid sabbatical. 4 years tenure. I had exactly 4 years. 12 weeks. More than enough time to remember what my life felt like before this job consumed me. I read the requirements 3 times. Nothing about needing supervisor approval. Just senior management approval, which meant Kevin's boss, the VP of operations. I pulled up the application form, my heart racing. This was it. My way out. My chance to reclaim my life from a boss who saw me as expendable. I started filling it out, citing mental health and professional development, listing the 78 consecutive days without proper rest, documenting the 7 denied vacation requests. My fingers flew across the keyboard, years of frustration pouring into that application. By the end of the day, I'd submitted it. Now I just had to wait. A week passed. I didn't tell Kevin about the sabbatical application. I just kept working, kept meeting deadlines, kept pretending I wasn't counting down to a response. Each morning I checked my email obsessively. Nothing from HR. Nothing from senior management. Just more urgent requests from Kevin, more impossible deadlines, more proof that this job was destroying me one day at a time. Friday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello. Is this Jenna?" "This is Patricia from Human Resources." My stomach flipped. "Yes, this is Jenna. I'm calling about your sabbatical application. I need to clarify a few things before sending it to senior management for final approval." We talked for 20 minutes. She asked about my workload, my health, my reasons for requesting the leave. I was honest, brutally, exhaustingly honest. I told her about the denied vacation requests, about working 80-hour weeks, about feeling like I was drowning. Patricia was silent for a long moment after I finished. Jenna, I'm sorry you've been going through this. Your application is well documented and clearly justified. I'm going to prioritize this with senior management. You should hear back by Wednesday. Thank you. After we hung up, I sat in my car in the parking lot and cried. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming relief of finally being heard. Wednesday came. I was in a meeting with Kevin and the development team when my phone buzzed with an email. The subject line read, Sabbatical application approved. I excused myself and rushed to the bathroom to read the full message. My sabbatical was approved. 12 weeks. Starting in 2 weeks. Paid. I had to cover my mouth to keep from screaming with joy. I'd done it. I'd found a way around Kevin's endless denials. I'd secured 12 weeks to rest, recover, and remember who I was outside this office. But now came the hard part. Telling Kevin. The approved sabbatical required me to give 2 weeks' notice to allow for transition planning, which meant I had to tell Kevin today. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. Exhausted eyes, stressed lines I hadn't had a year ago, shoulders permanently tense from carrying too much. This was my chance to save myself. I walked back to the conference room with my phone in my hand, the approval email open on the screen. Kevin was wrapping up the meeting. Jenna, stay back a minute. I need to discuss the Patterson project. Everyone else filed out. Kevin turned to me with that familiar expression, the one that said he was about to dump more work on my desk. I need you to take lead on Patterson. It's high priority. Kevin, I need to talk to you about something important. I handed him my phone. I've been approved for a paid sabbatical. 12 weeks. Starting 2 weeks from today. Kevin's face went through several expressions in rapid succession. Confusion. Disbelief. Anger. What? You applied for a sabbatical? I did. It's in the employee handbook. 4 years tenure makes me eligible. I didn't approve this. I didn't need your approval. The application goes through HR and senior management. It's already approved. His face flushed red. This is completely inappropriate. You can't just decide to disappear for 3 months. It's 12 weeks of paid leave that I'm entitled to. I've been denied vacation repeatedly, so I use the benefits the company provides. Jenna, be reasonable. The team needs you. The Patterson project is critical. Then maybe you should have thought about that when you denied my vacation request 7 times. My voice was calm, but my hands were shaking. Kevin stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. If you do this, it's going to reflect poorly on you. The team will see you as unreliable, as someone who abandons ship when things get tough. The team will see someone who used a legitimate company benefit to take care of her mental health. Just like the 5 coworkers you approved for vacation in the past 2 months. That stopped him. This is different. No, Kevin. This is exactly the same. I'm taking time off. The only difference is you couldn't deny it. I walked out before he could respond, my heart pounding but my head clear. I'd stood up to him. Finally, definitively stood up to him. The next 2 weeks were a blur of transition planning and hostile glances from Kevin. He'd assigned me extra projects to wrap up before leaving, which was clearly retaliation. But I didn't care. Every passive-aggressive comment, every unreasonable demand, I met with professional calm. Because I knew, in 14 days I'd be free. My coworkers were supportive. Amanda brought me coffee with encouraging notes. Brandon offered to help with the transition documentation. Even people from other departments reached out to tell me they'd heard what I'd done and were impressed. You actually pulled off a sabbatical, Amanda said during lunch one day. I didn't even know that was an option. Page 183 of the employee handbook. 4 years, tenure required. Kevin must be losing his mind. He's definitely not happy. But that's his problem, not mine. Good for you. You deserve this break more than anyone I know. She was right. I did deserve it. I'd earned it through 4 years of dedication, months of overtime, and countless sacrifice weekends. The night before my sabbatical started, I finished my last transition document and sent my final email. I'll be on sabbatical for the next 12 weeks. For urgent matters, contact Brandon or Amanda. Thank you for your support. I shut down my computer, packed my personal items, and walked out of the office at 5 p.m. sharp. My sabbatical had officially begun. The first day of freedom felt surreal. I woke up naturally, without an alarm, at 9 a.m. For the first time in months, I had nowhere to be. No urgent emails. No impossible deadlines. Just time. I made breakfast slowly, savoring the simple act of cooking eggs without rushing. I drank coffee on my balcony, watching the morning unfold without checking my phone every 30 seconds. The relief was physical. My shoulders, permanently tense for months, started to relax. The constant knot in my stomach loosened slightly. I could breathe. Really breathe. Around noon, my phone rang. Kevin's name on the screen. I stared at it for 3 rings before declining the call. 5 minutes later, he called again. I declined again. Then came a text. Need to discuss Patterson project urgently. Call when you can. I blocked his number. Not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. This was my time. My mental health. My life. Kevin had ignored my needs for months. Now he could experience what being ignored felt like. The rest of the day, I spent doing nothing productive. I watched a movie. I took a nap. I ordered takeout for dinner and ate it while reading a novel I'd bought 6 months ago and never opened. It was the best day I'd had in over a year. 3 days into my sabbatical, I started reclaiming the parts of myself I'd lost. I called my college friend Melissa, who I'd been too busy to see for 8 months. Jenna, I thought you disappeared into the corporate void. I almost did, but I'm on sabbatical now. Want to get lunch this week? We met at our favorite cafe, and she stared at me across the table. You look different. Different how? Less haunted. More like the Jenna I used to know. I laughed, but she was right. I could feel it. The constant anxiety that had become background noise to my existence was fading. I was sleeping better, eating actual meals instead of grabbing whatever was fastest, moving my body instead of sitting at a desk for 12 hours straight. Tell me everything, Melissa said. So I did. The denied vacations, Kevin's favoritism, the sabbatical application, walking out of the office for 12 weeks. That's incredible, she said. And terrifying, but mostly incredible. It feels incredible. Scary too, but mostly just necessary. We spent 3 hours catching up, and I realized how much I'd sacrificed for a job that didn't value me. How many relationships I'd neglected. How much life I'd missed. That night, I made a list of things I wanted to do during my sabbatical. Reconnect with friends. Take a weekend trip. Read books. Exercise. Remember what joy felt like. My sabbatical wasn't just a break. It was a reclamation of my life. A week into my sabbatical, my former coworker Brandon texted me. Hey, just a heads up. Kevin's been telling people you abandoned the team. Thought you should know. I stared at the message, anger flaring in my chest. Of course Kevin was spreading rumors. Of course he couldn't just let me take my legitimate leave in peace. Thanks for telling me. What's he saying exactly? That you left during a critical project period. That you're unreliable. That you're using a loophole to avoid work. It's all BS, but people are hearing it. I called HR immediately. Patricia answered on the second ring. Jenna, how's the sabbatical going? I need to report something. My supervisor is spreading rumors about me taking this leave, calling me unreliable and saying I abandoned the team. Her tone shifted immediately. That's completely inappropriate and potentially retaliatory. I'll address this today. Thank you. Jenna, you did nothing wrong. You used a legitimate benefit. Kevin's behavior reflects poorly on him, not you. After we hung up, I felt vindicated but also sad. This was what happened when you set boundaries with people who'd benefited from your lack of them. They lashed out. They tried to punish you. They spread lies to maintain their control. But I was done being controlled. Kevin could say whatever he wanted. I was taking care of myself, and nothing he said could change that. 2 weeks into my sabbatical, Kevin called again. This time from his personal phone. I answered, curious what could be important enough to warrant another attempt after I'd blocked his office number. Jenna, we need to talk. About what? The Patterson project is falling apart. Brandon doesn't know your systems like you do. I'm offering you a raise, 15%, and the senior project manager title if you come back early. I was silent, processing the audacity. You're offering me a raise and promotion to cut my sabbatical short. It's a good offer. You'll be making significantly more money, and, Kevin, I'm 2 weeks into a 12-week sabbatical that I'm taking because you drove me to exhaustion. And now you're trying to bribe me to come back. It's not a bribe. It's a recognition of your value. If you recognize my value, you would have approved my vacation requests. You would have supported my work-life balance. You would have treated me like a human being instead of a machine. Jenna, be realistic. This opportunity won't last forever. Good thing I'm not interested then. I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From anger and also from power. I just turned down a 15% raise and a promotion because I valued my mental health more. That realization was staggering. 2 months ago, I would have said yes immediately. I would have cut my sabbatical short, returned to the office, and continued burning myself out for Kevin's approval. But I'd changed. These 2 weeks of rest had shown me what I'd been missing. And no amount of money was worth going back. As week 3 began, my finances started feeling tight. The sabbatical was paid, but at 70% of my regular salary. Combined with the fact that I'd been eating out more and spending money on self-care activities, my budget was strained. I sat at my kitchen table one evening, looking at my bank account, wondering if I'd made a mistake. 12 weeks was a long time. Maybe I should have negotiated shorter leave. Maybe I should have just toughed it out at work. Maybe Kevin was right that I was being unrealistic. My phone rang. Melissa. Hey, what's up? You sound stressed. What's wrong? I told her about the finances, the doubt, the fear that I'd made an impulsive decision I couldn't afford. Jenna, stop. You know what you can't afford. Another nervous breakdown. Another year of working yourself to death for a boss who doesn't respect you. I know, but no buts. You're 3 weeks in. You're already sleeping better, right? Feeling more like yourself. Yes. Then you made the right decision. Money can be figured out. Your mental health can't be bought back. She was right. I'd been so focused on the temporary financial discomfort that I'd forgotten the permanent mental health benefits. This sabbatical was an investment in myself, and I was worth the investment. Week 4 brought escalating desperation from Kevin. He called. He texted from different numbers. He even had his assistant reach out to schedule a brief check-in call. I ignored everything. But on Thursday, he went too far. He showed up at my apartment. I opened the door to find Kevin standing in my hallway, looking uncomfortable but determined. Kevin, what are you doing here? You won't answer my calls. We need to talk. I'm on sabbatical. That means I'm not available for work discussions. Jenna, the entire department is struggling without you. The Patterson project is behind schedule. Brandon made mistakes that are costing us time and money. We need you. You need the person who is willing to work 80-hour weeks and sacrifice her health. That person doesn't exist anymore. I'm willing to negotiate. 18% raise. Senior management position. Your choice of projects when you return. When I return, if I return, it won't be because you guilted or bribed me. It'll be because I want to. Right now, I don't want to. The company might not survive without you. I almost laughed. Then, maybe you should have treated me better when you had me. I closed the door before he could respond. My heart was racing, but I felt powerful. Kevin had shown up at my home, invaded my personal space, tried to manipulate me into abandoning my recovery. And I'd stood firm. That was growth I couldn't have imagined 4 weeks ago. Week 5 brought unexpected support. My coworkers started reaching out, not to pressure me, but to encourage me. Amanda sent a long text. Kevin's been worse since you left. Micromanaging everything, panicking about deadlines. It's making us all see how much you carried and how little he appreciated it. We're proud of you for taking this break. Brandon called. Don't let Kevin's guilt trips work. You deserve his time. And honestly, him struggling without you is proving exactly why you needed to leave. Even people from other departments reached out with stories of their own struggles with work-life balance, thanking me for showing them that boundaries were possible. The support was overwhelming and validating. But the most powerful message came from Patricia in HR. Jenna, I want you to know that Kevin's behavior has not gone unnoticed. His attempts to contact you during your sabbatical, his showing up at your home, these are being documented. You were right to take this leave, and you're right to maintain your boundaries. That evening, I sat on my balcony with a cup of tea, feeling gratitude wash over me. I wasn't alone in this. People saw what Kevin had done. People supported my decision. And more importantly, I supported my own decision. That self-support was worth more than any external validation could ever be. Week 6 brought a surprise that changed everything. I received an email from a consulting firm I'd worked with years ago on a project. "Hi Jenna, we heard through the industry grapevine that you might be available for consulting work. We have a short-term project, 6 weeks, that aligns perfectly with your expertise. Would you be interested in discussing it?" I stared at the email, my mind racing. Consulting work. On my terms. Using my skills without the toxic environment. The project was in my area of expertise, systems integration. Exactly what I'd been doing at Morrison Tech, but with flexibility and respect. I set up a call for the next day. The consulting firm offered me a 6-week contract starting in 2 weeks. The pay was actually higher than my regular salary, and the work was remote with flexible hours. "We've heard you're extremely talented, but we're in a difficult work situation," the project manager said. "We value work-life balance here. This project is important but manageable." I accepted on the spot. This was the sign I'd been waiting for. My sabbatical hadn't just given me rest. It had opened doors to opportunities I'd been too burned out to notice. That evening, I started researching freelance consulting, building my own client base, working on my terms. What if I didn't go back to Morrison Tech at all? What if the sabbatical was... Week 7, I made the decision. I wasn't going back to Morrison Tech. I was going to build my own consulting practice. The freedom was terrifying and exhilarating. I spent the week setting up my freelance business, registered an LLC, created a website, reached out to my professional network with a simple message. After 4 years at Morrison Tech, I'm starting my own consulting practice, specializing in systems integration and project management. If you know anyone who needs help, I'd appreciate the referral. The response was immediate and overwhelming. 3 potential clients reached out within 48 hours. My former manager from a previous job wanted to hire me for a project. A colleague from a professional organization asked if I'd consult on a system overhaul. Even Brandon sent a message. "Jenna, if you're taking clients, our department could use an outside consultant." Seriously, Kevin's made such a mess that they're looking for external help. I laughed at the irony. Kevin had pushed me so hard that I'd left and started my own business. And now his department needed to hire consultants because he'd lost his best employee. Karma wasn't just real. It was poetic. By the end of the week, I had 3 clients lined up and more inquiries coming in. My consulting practice was becoming a reality, and I'd never felt more confident in a professional decision. Week 8, Kevin reached out one more time. A formal email, copied to HR and a supervisor. "Jenna, I want to formally apologize for how I handled your requests for time off and for the pressure I put on you during your sabbatical. I recognize now that I took advantage of your dedication and didn't respect your boundaries. I hope you'll consider returning to Morrison Tech. We'd be willing to discuss a significant promotion and compensation package." I read the email 3 times, searching for sincerity. It was there, buried under corporate language and self-protection. Kevin was genuinely apologizing, probably because HR had forced him to after documenting his behavior. I responded professionally. "Kevin, I appreciate the apology. However, I've decided to pursue independent consulting rather than returning to Morrison Tech. I wish you and the team well." Short. Simple. Final. Patricia from HR called an hour later. "Jenna, I want to thank you. Your documentation and the issues you raised have led to significant changes in how we handle employee workload and time off requests. You've made a real impact. I'm glad something good came from it. What are your plans after the sabbatical ends?" "I've started my own consulting business. I'm not coming back." There was a pause. Then Patricia laughed. "Good for you. Truly. You deserve better than how you were treated here." The call ended, and I felt complete closure. Morrison Tech was my past. My consulting practice was my future. And my sabbatical had been the bridge between them. Week 9, my consulting work officially began. The project was challenging but manageable. I worked from home, setting my own hours, taking breaks when I needed them. The client was respectful, the work was engaging, and most importantly, I was in control. No Kevin breathing down my neck. No impossible deadlines set without my input. No expectation that I'd sacrifice my health for someone else's priorities. Just clean, professional work with clear boundaries. The difference was staggering. I'd forgotten what healthy work relationships felt like. What it meant to be valued for my expertise without being exploited for my dedication. My second client started a week later. Another systems project, also remote, also flexible. Between the two projects, I was working about 30 hours a week and earning more than my full-time Morrison Tech salary. Amanda from my old job sent a message. I heard through the grapevine that you're consulting now. That's amazing. And I heard that Kevin is being required to take management training on employee wellness. Your sabbatical actually changed things. Really? They're reviewing all denied time-off requests from the past year. Several people are now getting approved for sabbaticals. You started a revolution. That information filled me with satisfaction. Not spite toward Kevin, but pride that my difficult decision had made things better for others. That was worth all the struggle. Week 10, I attended a professional networking event I'd been too exhausted to go to for 2 years. I met other consultants, potential clients, and industry leaders I'd only known through LinkedIn. One conversation stood out. A woman named Victoria, who ran a consulting collective, approached me. I've heard your name lately. You're the one who left Morrison Tech to start consulting. That's me. Your timing couldn't be better. We're looking for specialists in systems integration. Would you be interested in joining our collective? You'd keep your independence, but have access to our client network and resources. I took her card, my mind racing. A consulting collective would give me stability while maintaining the freedom I discovered I needed. I'm very interested. Let's talk. 2 days later, I joined the collective. Within a week, they connected me with 3 more potential clients. My business was growing faster than I'd imagined possible. What had started as desperate escape from burnout had become a thriving career. I'd stumbled into something better than what I'd left behind. The evening I signed the collective agreement, I sat on my balcony with celebratory wine and called Melissa. You'll never believe what's happening. Tell me everything. I did. The consulting success. The collective. The growing client list. The fact that I was making more money working fewer hours with complete control over my schedule. Jenna, this is incredible. Kevin pushed you so hard that you accidentally discovered your dream career. It wasn't an accident. It was desperation. Sometimes desperation leads to transformation. She was right. I'd been desperate, but that desperation had saved me. Week 11, something unexpected happened. Kevin's boss, the VP of operations, reached out to offer me a contract position. Not employment, consulting. Jenna, Kevin's department needs help with several projects. We'd like to hire you as an external consultant. Standard consulting rates. Your choice of hours, complete autonomy. You'd report directly to me, not Kevin. I almost laughed at the irony. Morrison Tech wanted to pay me more money, give me more autonomy, and have me work on the exact same projects, just without Kevin's direct supervision. What prompted this offer? Honestly, Kevin's management style has been under review since you left. Your sabbatical and subsequent departure highlighted serious problems. We're restructuring the department. In the meantime, we need someone with your expertise. What about Kevin? He's being moved to a different role. He'll no longer manage the team you worked with. I considered the offer. Morrison Tech wasn't a toxic company. Kevin had been a toxic manager. With him out of the picture and me working as an independent consultant with clear boundaries, this could work. Send me the contract details. I'll review them. 2 days later, I signed a 6-month consulting contract with Morrison Tech at twice my previous salary, working 20 hours a week on my own schedule. Kevin had tried to keep me trapped in exploitation. Instead, he pushed me into the best professional situation of my career. Revenge was unnecessary. Success was better. Week 12, my sabbatical officially ended. But the person returning was fundamentally different from the person who'd left. I'd spent 3 months recovering, rebuilding, and reimagining my entire career. That final week, I reflected on everything I'd learned. About boundaries, about self-worth, about the difference between dedication and exploitation, about how sometimes the best professional decision is walking away from what's harming you. I'd started with a desperate need for rest. I discovered a new career path. I'd proven that my value wasn't dependent on any one employer. I'd shown that setting boundaries wasn't selfish, it was survival. My consulting practice was thriving. I had 4 ongoing clients, including Morrison Tech. I was working 35 hours a week and earning substantially more than my previous full-time salary. I had time for friends, hobbies, and rest. I joined professional organizations. I was mentoring younger professionals. I was living, not just working. The person Kevin had exploited was gone. The person who'd emerged from 12 weeks of sabbatical was stronger, more confident, and completely in control of her career. That transformation was priceless. My sabbatical hadn't just been a break. It had been a rebirth. One afternoon during my 12th week, Kevin reached out one final time. Not through work channels. A personal email. "Jenna, I know I don't deserve a response, but I wanted you to know that I've been in therapy since you left, working through why I manage people the way I did. My therapist says I saw your competence as a solution to my own inadequacies rather than a gift to nurture. I exploited your dedication because I couldn't handle my own responsibilities. I'm sorry. Genuinely, deeply sorry. I hope your consulting practice continues to thrive. You deserve all the success you're finding. And I'm glad my mistakes pushed you toward something better. Thank you for being brave enough to set boundaries when I wouldn't respect them voluntarily." I read the email twice. This wasn't corporate apology language. This was real. Kevin had actually done the work to understand his failures. I wrote back, "Kevin, I appreciate this message. I hope you continue growing and that you treat your future teams better. We both needed this change. I wish you well." That was enough. Not forgiveness, exactly, but acknowledgement. Kevin had been harmful, but he was also human. He'd failed, recognized his failure, and was working to improve. That was more than many people ever managed. The chapter of my life that included Kevin was completely closed. But it had closed with grace rather than bitterness. That felt right. 6 months after my sabbatical ended, I attended an industry conference. The keynote speaker was discussing innovation in project management, and afterward, I approached her to continue the conversation. "Your insights on team dynamics were fascinating," I said. She smiled. "Thank you. Are you in project management?" "I'm an independent consultant specializing in systems integration and project management. I actually left corporate work earlier this year to start my practice." "Really? What prompted that decision?" I gave her the short version. The burnout, the denied vacation requests, the paid sabbatical that became a career transformation. Her eyes widened. "That's an incredible story. Have you considered speaking about it? We're always looking for conference speakers who can discuss work-life balance and career transitions." "I've never done public speaking before." "Think about it. Your story could help a lot of people recognize when it's time to make a change." She handed me her card. That evening, I drafted a conference talk proposal, From Burnout to Balance, How a Forced Break Became a Career Revolution. 3 months later, I gave that talk to 300 professionals. The response was overwhelming. People lined up afterward to share their own stories of workplace exploitation and burnout, to ask advice about setting boundaries, to thank me for giving them permission to prioritize their well-being. My story had become bigger than just me. 1 year after my sabbatical began, my consulting practice had grown beyond anything I'd imagined. 6 regular clients, a team of 3 associate consultants working with me, revenue that exceeded my corporate salary by 50%. And most importantly, complete control over my time, my boundaries, and my well-being. I'd recently hired Amanda, my former coworker from Morrison Tech. She finally quit after watching my transformation and realizing she deserved better too. "Thank you for showing me this was possible," she said during our first team meeting. "I never would have had the courage to leave without seeing you do it first. You would have found your way eventually. I just helped you see it sooner." Brandon reached out occasionally with updates from Morrison Tech. The department had been restructured. Kevin was managing operations instead of people. The new manager had implemented strict time-off policies and workload limits. "Your sabbatical actually fixed the entire department culture," Brandon told me. "They knew things had to change after you left. I'm glad something good came from it. More than good. You saved a lot of us from burning out the way you were." You made them see we were humans, not machines. That perspective filled me with quiet pride. My decision to prioritize myself hadn't just saved me. It had improved conditions for everyone I'd left behind. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away, and sometimes walking away creates change you never expected. Today, 18 months after that desperate Friday night when I decided I couldn't continue, I'm living a life I didn't know was possible. My consulting practice is thriving. I have strong boundaries. I work with clients who respect my expertise and my humanity. I have time for friends, hobbies, travel, and rest. I'm speaking at conferences, mentoring young professionals, and helping others recognize when their work situations are exploiting them. People often ask if I regret leaving corporate work. The answer is always no. That job was killing me slowly. Kevin's refusal to grant me time off was cruel, but it was also the catalyst I needed. If he'd approved my vacation requests, I might still be there. Still burning out. Still sacrificing my health for someone else's priorities. His rejection became my liberation. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing. Sometimes the door that closes in your face is protecting you from a building that's burning down. Sometimes the break you have to fight for is the break that saves your life. My sabbatical wasn't just 12 weeks off work. It was the bridge between who I was and who I was meant to become. And I'm grateful every day that I had the courage to cross it. If you're reading this and you're in a situation like I was, overworked, undervalued, exhausted, know this: you deserve rest. You deserve boundaries. You deserve to be treated like a human being. And sometimes the only way to get what you deserve is to take it yourself. Choose yourself. Every time. Your future self will thank you.